Welcome to Lifeline Dialogues. I'm Dr. Masi Korir, and today we sit down with a woman whose health journey has given voice to many others, including myself, Elsie Wandera. She's the co-chair of the World Endometriosis Organizations and the founder of Endometriosis Foundation of Kenya. She has lived through the challenges of endometriosis and early menopause, experiences that deeply affect not just women's health, but also the family when you think about fertility, motherhood, and the family life at large. Today, she shares her story, her lessons, and what she's drawn and the impact of her work in Kenya and globally. Elsie, karibu sana.
Thank you so much for
This
having me.
interview has been a very long time coming,
Long
years
overdue, and I'm
coming.
so happy to be here.
Thank you for honoring us with
Thank you.
your presence and as always your bravery to talk about these issues.
Thank you.
And so when we met, towards the end of August during the menopause conversation in Kenya, the first of its kind, a national dialogue on menopause, you shared your story on early menopause and what this experience was like. Did you know at that time that you were going through menopause, or you just thought, life is just happening?
First, yeah, because I did start presenting the symptoms quite early. I think I was around 36 when I started experiencing like the hot flashes. I couldn't understand, like my body was just boiling.
Because you're 36.
I mean, I was just like, maybe it's the hot weather. Maybe there's just something. I didn't have the words for it, but I think it became clearer just before I got married. When I went, of course, when you're getting married, you're of course preparing to have the conversation around, okay, so can you have children? So at the time I was seeing a fertility specialist who was also treating my endometriosis. And I remember she asked me, she was like, hey, can we do an AMH test? And so for me, that was the first time I had that test, and I was like, what? So it's just a test to actually confirm or just verify your egg count, like how many eggs you have. And that was really the first time when I was coming to terms with first that I was experiencing premature ovarian failure, because I was on the low percentile of women who actually have a low ovarian reserve at my age at that time, right? And so the menopause language has still not checked in at that space, and at that time. It was when I hit 40 that then the gynecologist I was seeing at the time, and who is currently still my gynecologist, who told me, you are in perimenopause. And I was like, hang on. I mean, I'm
What are you
already
talking
suffering
about?
so many things. Like, now
Yeah.
you're giving me another condition, because now he was listening to my symptoms, because I told him I was not sleeping well. I was just diagnosed with depression. And so when you put two and two together, mood swings, the sadness, the frequent, what is it called? The frequent UTIs I was experiencing that were not explainable. They were just, I don't know where they came from anyway. And so when he just did the mapping, and of course by that time, I think that was a time when I was planning to go in for my fourth surgery. And that's when he was like, okay, you're in perimenopause, and therefore we need to start you now on HRT. So that was when I started becoming familiar with the words and the terminology, but not really how the symptoms came to life and how to manage them. I mean, because he had put me on topical estrogen. We had tried a couple of other other medication, and then the Mirena coil for progesterone, but that was about it. But in terms of the other sister symptoms, the ones that come, the brain fog, just all of those, I had to discover for myself. And I must say, like, that brought me to the reality that I was experiencing a double gap from a knowledge perspective. First, with endometriosis, we know how the healthcare system, we know that they're not trained enough, they're not knowledgeable enough about this condition because of how complex it is. But now, a new stage in my life, a new phase in my life, and I'm still having to almost just discover for myself, like what's working for me, what's not, how do I manage some of these symptoms, etc. Yeah.
So when he said this is perimenopause, you are young, of course. You don't expect a late 30s
Yeah,
person to be going through anything menopause.
correct.
So what comes to your mind at that point?
I was like, okay, this is the end of my life. I'm officially being I'm being now categorized or being labeled as mama.
Mama,
Like
old
now I'm the
woman.
real, and I almost started seeing myself like my mother. And I remember I called her, I was like, oh my God, so this is what you were going through, and you never told me. You never thought it was important to share, So I think it was heartbreaking because I had already struggled. I'd already been struggling my whole life with pain. And then now, prematurely entering menopause. Because I knew that menopause was not going to come until 50, 55 there, right? And that was the information that I had. That's the knowledge that we had. Because I think that's also what we're being told in school. Like it's for
Older women.
It's older women. It's not you. There's, the other difficult thing, I think, being told you're perimenopausal was coming to terms with the fact that I was never going to conceive naturally because I had lost both of my ovaries due to the disease progression, and that's what caused it. So I felt like an essence of my womanhood had been robbed, right? I was like, did I make the decision that I wanted not to have children? Like, was that a conscious decision? Absolutely not.
Somebody made the decision for you.
Yeah.
And you have to take it.
Yeah. And I think that for me, it just felt like a violation. It felt like I was being robbed. And so that also brought me face to face with something which I didn't know, called grief. And just grieving. And I was like, I didn't know, by the way, I was going through grief. By the way, I had no clue.
What were you feeling at that point?
I'm just hopeless, like useless, irrelevant. I was adding weight. If you knew me when I was, like just before I hit 40, I was like a decent size. I probably think I was in between a size 14 and a 16. But now my waist is just rounder. And it's not reducing. There's no amount of starvation I'm doing to help
Why are you
me with the
trying to
weight.
starve?
Because in your mind, I'm telling myself, I'm like, hey, maybe if I don't eat, I'll not grow. But of course, we know that's not the right approach. So, I was feeling a lot of shame. We live in a society, the African context, that really, I hate to use this term, but objectifies women. And I think our only role seems like
childbearing.
Exactly. And so if you're not, think about it. I was already battling with endometriosis. And of course, if anyone who wants to come out publicly and say that they're struggling with endometriosis, immediately there's a linkage to your fertility.
Yeah.
So it's like, are you worth marrying? So imagine, my marriage was in shambles, by the way. We were going through the thick of it. And so you can imagine having, it was so layered that I could not even articulate what I was going through. And the best way that I knew how to do it was I was just crying endlessly. I was in a very sad and depressed state. Like I was just feeling shame. I was not feeling beautiful, even though I know I am, girl. And just feeling inadequate. I was like, so what conversations am I going to add on this table? So yes, I am a champion and advocating for women's health and rights within that space. But how am I going to encourage the younger generation that is coming after me and give them a sense of hope that, right, this disease is not going to rob you of everything, that it's going to happen one day for you. It doesn't have to be my story. And I think that's how I quickly just began turning it around and saying, hey, it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah.
And so start looking at it from that perspective and approaching it from that perspective. Because I've had, many success stories of women who've managed to get children. But I think for me, the critical thing was just like, I was just like, will I ever add any value? Will I ever remarry? Will someone else find me marriageable? Is that a word? Will I be, will I be worthy, like before someone? Even when I say that I cannot conceive.
But so you've spoken about this in a previous interview. At 16, you got pregnant, but had to terminate that. Of course, you're not happy with that decision at the time.
Yeah.
So at this point now, when you're told, you cannot get any other children, did you feel like maybe you should have, did that come up in any of your thoughts?
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, woulda, all the time. Those are the things. To date, I keep asking myself, I'm like, okay, so if I had that child when I was 16, would I have had a chance at motherhood? I regret it, but I'm like, was it the right choice? I believe it was. I don't think I was not even ready to be a mother. And I remember even when I was trying to, because they induced the delivery, there was panic in the room because my cervix was not opening up. I mean, because that tells you, like, even
you're a baby.
I was a baby.
You're a baby.
And now I'm bringing in another baby into this world to try and raise. That wasn't going to happen. So I believe it was the right choice. If I was younger, I mean, and we've had this conversation with my mother, she just says, of course, you're trying, at that point, it's about saving face, right? To do the right thing, like as per society's standards, right? Because you don't want to bring on the shame of a teenage daughter.
My teenage daughter has a baby.
Correct.
And you are in this school of schools.
Imagine. So it wasn't happening. But I've done a lot of work in terms of just processing that and just saying, my mother made the decision. We've done the work of, talking about it and just forgiving each other and just embracing the reality that, and the reality that we're in. And so I think that used to haunt me. I remember we used to have such ugly fights with my mother. When I was young, because that pain was really tormenting me. And I'd go out, party, come back drunk, tell her, you're the worst mother. I hate you. Try to Americanize and Westernize the whole African situation. And, she just, of course, she listened and she was like, it's fine, we'll talk about it. But can you imagine now? It's like I'm making the situation even worse because now I'm fighting with my mom. It's unnecessary. There's a proper way of dealing with it. And so we've talked about it. That's why I think, and I try not to give it so much power, right? So I can talk about it, but I don't allow it to define me. So
yeah. So when you are grieving and you didn't know you were grieving, that you'd not be able to conceive naturally, was that also part of the grief that
Yeah.
you'd lost a baby when you were 16?
Yeah. I mean, every woman, I don't know if, you know, like from the time we are girls, right? Like we're already playing with dolls.
Yeah.
We're already playing Chamama Chababa. So that was an experience I was really looking forward to. Of course, the options and the alternatives were provided. But really, I think there were barriers, you know, because the costs are really prohibitive. Like when you think about IVF, you know, my gynecologist was like, you know, we can do IVF. You know, after he did that surgery, and he was like, you know, Elsie, your uterus is beautiful, like it's ready for a baby. I'm like, but where the eggs going to come from? Then he's like, no, let's just, you know, if there is, you know, he told me, you know, talk to your sister. You know, we could try and see where we can find someone to donate an egg, right? And I started getting excited, but I was like, wow, but you know, it's not mine. You know, what would that mean from a cost perspective? You know, what do I need to do? Then, you know, we know the IVF process. You know, I'm not about to do like those 6,000 million jabs, and then it's a trial. It could fail. After that,
and there've been failures,
right?
like you may not get it on the first time.
So I said, this is where I had to come, you know, face to face with now. I was like, okay, even if it's not natural, even if it's assisted, do I want to take myself through that? Like emotionally, do I have the bandwidth? No, I'm done. And that's when I was like, no, it's not. But there was another third one, which is not discussed, and it's still frowned upon, right? Which is adoption. Still frowned upon, but I'm like, but where do you want those children who are abandoned, who, you know, for different reasons, whether it's death, whether it's, you know, just being abandoned like on the street somewhere in a dump. Where do you want those children to go? They deserve to be raised by someone who loves them. And so that's one of the discussions that we had. But it was interesting because I think that was when now again I started just, you know, having the conversation further with him, like, what do you think I should have done? I think especially because as an endo patient, you know, having multiple surgeries takes away from, look, it's into your ovarian reserve, especially if they are doing surgery that is touching on your ovaries. And when you think about it, you know, I mean, if you have that in mind, then I would have made a better decision earlier, which is freeze my eggs. I want to have children later, right? Not now, because the first time I was having my surgery was, of course, 26 when I was first definitively diagnosed. But I was like, okay, but maybe that should have been the conversation had at the time. And I feel like, and I've come to learn that doctors.
I feel like you're about to say no offense.
No, I'm not going to say no offense. It's the truth. And I think we need to just land it. It's not, we're not blaming anyone. I've moved away from that thing of like, I'm fighting the system. I'm no longer fighting the system. I am a part of the system. But doctors look at, when I walk into the to the consulting room, they see the disease. They don't see me as the whole person. And that's where sometimes patients will feel very quickly dismissed, or you're not being listened to. And there's actually an opportunity and a chance for a doctor to actually listen to the other things you're saying, to be able to connect the dots, to be able to say, what is this woman prioritizing at this moment in time? Even when I'm suggesting to her surgery, do I know like what her goals are? What she's dreaming about? And I think those need to be put, like, that's a conversation. If I was a patient in my 20s, that's something that I would, in my notebook, I would have had to be able to have my doctor and say, by the way, I'm thinking about giving birth. And I know if we do surgery, there's a possibility that you guys might touch my ovaries. Can, give me what are my options?
Yeah.
And I really think that's something that's, when I was talking to Charles, I was just like, that's something I think we need to bring to the fore. Like whenever doctors are talking to their patients and presenting the option of surgery, just present that.
Especially on reproductive health.
Correct.
And anything that will touch on reproductive health. You have to
Correct.
think about, as you say, my dreams and my ambitions. Yeah.
Yeah. Because in as much as, yes, you're treating the disease, I'm thinking of having kids later. I want to get married in an environment that is already very tough on us as women.
Women, yes.
I mean, we're expected like we're saying, we're expected to finish school, get married,
Get kids,
raise immediately, raise them up,
retire.
Hopefully.
Yes, because I don't think, sometimes I don't even think that the career path for women is part of the societal normalization.
No.
Like, because, and I usually say this, when you go to interviews, I don't know if you've experienced this, but women are always asked, how do you manage work-life balance? I've never heard of a man being asked the same.
No. And I'm like, it's such an unfair question.
It is. It is.
We are more than our roles back at home. Like, that's not our primary role. We have skills.
We have more to offer.
We have more to offer to transform society. And I don't think we should, I don't even think we should even be trying to compete. Like, it's not about like, oh, men. But I'm like, but we have to work twice as hard to even earn half of what the men are earning for less the effort that they are making. Sorry. Did I just say that?
No, it's true. I think when we also just talking about fair wages, it's usually the conversation. So you've talked about transforming, offering something to transform society. And I have known you, like many people have known you, as an endometriosis warrior. And it's been a big part of your life. And I know when girls start their menstrual period, they go through pain and they're told, that's what women go through, like vumilia.
Yeah.
You can persevere. Why? You're not the first one to experience, menstrual pain. What was it that was different for you, and what led you to finally speak up about it?
So, what was different? Was there anything different? It was the same. But what was different for me, and which is something that I see to date, is the family support, the support at that nuclear family level. I think that's the most critical one. Because immediately, like, I think I was just that child. I think I wasn't quiet about my pain. Like, I cried. If my dad was there, I would scream and shout, and I'd be like, you have to take me to hospital. Like, I can't. Pain. I'm not. So I was not going to leave it as a woman's issue. So it was not going to be my mother's responsibility only. And I also remember, and my brother knows this, several times he's taken me to hospital. So it was, I think that was self-advocacy when I look back. Because I was like, no, this is not, first, this is what I'm going through. Please recognize what I'm going through. I'm actually in pain. And then it was now involving my family, rallying them to understand that this is actually an issue. I need your support. So The days when I was down, when I needed to be rushed to the emergency room or whatever, they were fully available. There was never a question of dismissal. But earlier on, of course, the normalization, I remember even just with some of my aunts is, you give birth, you'll be okay. And I'm like, but I'm so young. That's not part of my agenda. Why is giving birth like a
The
solution?
solution to this pain.
And I see it today, like some of the women and girls I speak to, the things that really break my heart is the frustration of of just needing for their family to believe them and validate that pain, and just like, let's call it what it is. You're in pain. We need to find out what the issue is. So a lot of women are looked at, including myself, like, you're feigning the issue. So imagine talking about period is already such a taboo. It's such a difficult conversation to
Still
have.
is.
I think the one example I like to give, and you might have heard it, I say this a lot. I'm like, why is it that so easy for condoms to be sold at the front of the counter, the supermarket counter,
And not pads.
but where are the pads?
Somewhere in the aisle.
And then when you come out of the supermarket with with the pads, like, they will be wrapped
In a
gazette,
yeah.
brown paper, then it's put in a bag, then another bag, and probably a box. Why? This is a normal part of a female's anatomy. Like, this is our body. And in fact, what it is doing, it is preparing
for child.
For child. So it's like, why don't we normalize? So it's just that normalization of pain and the shame around also just bleeding and menstruation in general. Yes, it's a beautiful thing. So those are, for me, the norms that I see, especially at a family. For me, that's
that
the
nuclear family.
At the nuclear level. Because if you are not believed at home, where else are you going to be believed?
Nobody else will believe you.
We are already fighting society. You just need for the people who are closest to you, your loved ones, to believe you, for you to actually go out and conquer the world.
So when your family, your brother or your dad has taken you to hospital, it's menstrual pain, how was the reception by the doctors? I think I already know the answer.
Well,
how was the reception?
I don't know if I ever had them verbalizing anything, but especially with my brother, because for me, it was a very animated session, because now first, not only was he laughing at me because I was screaming, because I was in pain and I hated needles and injections. So there was always just the banter between the nurse and him, who's older, and, he would laugh, so I think he made it easier. My brother is just generally a funny person, so I don't think we would ever. I don't remember us ever being faced with, like, oh my God. But I think there were questions, if I remember, like, is this your partner? I think they were expecting, like, for him to, like, be a partner. But with my father, I think because I was much younger then, there were no questions asked.
And in terms of taking the pain seriously, like,
they believed me. In fact, my father, I remember, like, he'd be like, I would just come out and say, like, I'm in pain. Just drops everything. Like, there was not going to be any further interrogation. Like, to maybe consider or even he was never ever going to make me question or whether make me think I'm imagining my pain. There was never a question. You in pain? We're off immediately. And I think that's, like, I feel like I've empowered my family. Like, whenever I speak, whenever I do anything, whenever there's an interview, articles, content, I share with them. Because I'm like, please, guys, learn about this, to the point that, I mean, my dad and I are now working on, some research proposals, and he's coming in because he does a lot of work in the space of research, because he's like, now he wants to contribute.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
did the nurses, doctors take the pain seriously, or they'll be like,
Oh my God.
this is everyone suffering, we have more other urgent things to deal with, you can wait? How was that?
Nasi, huyo unajua scene kwa ground venye inakuanga. However, this is not about you.
No, no, no.
It's about the other doctors. The dismissal was very palatable. To the point, I remember at one hospital, I waited 45 minutes. Like, I took myself to the emergency room, because that's how, I go straight to the emergency. I don't even go through triage or anything, straight to the emergency room. And I said, I need this injection. This is what I'm experiencing a flare, and the pain has just gotten unbearable. And I'm crying, I'm in tears. And I remember waiting in that cube for like 45 minutes.
That's the emergency side.
Yes. I walked out, and I remember, the table, the space where the nurses sit. And I was just like, is it that you cannot see me? Is it that you cannot see my pain? And it's like,
What are you talking about?
To your point, like, we have other
Urgent things to deal with.
emergencies, to treat. And I remember I had to walk from that facility, cross over to the next healthcare facility. And that's where I got like immediate attention from. So there's several stories I can share of just, even when I was going in for my second surgery, I was like, but this can't be like, this cannot be the only solution, surely. Like, are you telling me that for the rest of my life, because there's no cure, no known cause for this issue, it means like there'll be no hope? Yeah. And the doctor was very quick to say, you will be on fertility treatment for the rest of your life. And I was like, but what if I want kids? I remember I was like 33, 34 around. And I was like, you're not even giving me any hope. So gaslighting, dismissal, the association, I think, also with, like abortion. I'm like, what? We don't know that is what causes endometriosis. So why are we having that discussion?
Yeah. Do you feel like, one, women's pain is underplayed, and more so Black or African women's pain?
Can we have another session for that?
It's a whole conversation in itself.
We know that we're not even included in the data. So we are not represented in the global data set. There are studies that have shown women's pain generally is just not taken that seriously. And that has led to a lot of women, especially with heart conditions, to die. So there's a higher rate of women dying of something that can be prevented because they were not believed the minute they walked into the ER. So she has a 60% chance of dying.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you've never believed, and this is like, even, I think it was like, I can't remember what the data was saying, but it's years ago, like many years ago, thousands of years ago, that this is where they first used the term hysteria.
Yeah, because it was.
Because now it was like, these women are crazy.
Because of the womb.
And now guess what? Like how those women were treated. So from back then, I mean, this is just generally like women. So then I'll come back to now the issue about us. Women are being hung upside down. That's the way that, the doctors have decided to treat this issue. So of course they're not taking our issues and our presentation of pain seriously. So they're just like, yeah, let's hang upside down. But even in the Bible days, like first and foremost, a woman is menstruating, remove her from community.
Yeah,
Go and stay
go
in the
on
bushes until you
until
come back, until
you're
you finish.
clean.
So you see how far back this issue starts. Then when we come now to us as black, non-Caucasian women, the issue is around one, especially for endometriosis. I know that for a very long time it was considered a white woman's disease, because it was like, women, black women, you're faking it, you have a higher pain threshold, so you guys can deal with it. And of course, because also at home we're being told, tough it up,
Yeah,
like,
you're not the first one,
you're not the first one. So
and you'll not be the
again,
last one.
the silence, I mean, for us to be forced now to be silent, our cases are not being documented, we're not being believed. And therefore, it means at that global level, we are not represented. So if there's any innovation, anything,
We miss out.
we miss out completely. And I mean, data on endometriosis in Africa is very sparse to date. I just came from the World Congress in May on endometriosis. And this was the first time when an African, Kenyan, proud to celebrate Dr. Charles Muteshi, was presenting, the perspective, research actually, from a low middle income country perspective.
This is 2025.
This is
And
the
that's the first
16th
time.
Congress. The 16th Congress, which happens every 2 years. So it's like 32
That's
years
2 years.
later. This is the first time that an African is presenting. But I celebrate that. Because now we know, because I attended Congress the first time 2 years ago, the first one 2 years ago. And that was when I actually raised my voice. Imagine me as a patient, then a patient advocate. I was like, it's great to see the progress this far. We're here talking about endometriosis, what's going on from a research perspective, how we're trying to work to improve the health outcomes. But I'm like, but all the presentations I have seen, all the studies being shared are from the
North or
north
west.
and the high income countries mostly. And I was like, but where is if you call yourselves the World Endometriosis Society, where is Africa? Who is the global majority? Right? And so I remember that's when they approached me and they were like, we are really interested in doing work in Africa. And I think this is where the issue is, and I think we were touching on it earlier. We are taught to suffer in silence because there's this ugly label that your or your ability to conceive then determines your worth in society. Therefore, not very many women want to come up and speak.
Yeah, because when women speak up, they face all kind of ridicule.
Agreed.
And like you are wondering earlier on, then are you marriageable? Are you marriage material? Just because chances are
You will not
you
be
may
able
not
to.
be able to conceive, and there's a big weight put on being able to get your own child.
Yeah.
Not even getting any donor, anything. So could be that's what makes women not speak up. And like I was saying, you are brave, you speak on behalf of all of us. And this experiences, endometriosis be like part of you, part of a big part of your life. Then you face fertility challenges, early menopause. Has it had any impact, influence on how you view motherhood, family, fertility in general?
Absolutely. I think first, it's a beautiful thing to even have the opportunity to experience motherhood. But for me, I'm like, okay, if it didn't happen to me, it's okay. It's not the end of the world, right? And like I said, I think I'm more than, just a mother. But I also have, proximity to mother, like my nieces and nephews, and even my friends who allow me to be part of their journey. So I don't see it as like it's the end of life, even though it's difficult. I mean, baby showers are still hard. Like this, it's still hard. It's a tough mountain to climb. But I appreciate now that, we must continue advocating for the people who deserve to make an informed choice, right? And the key term we're underlining there is informed choice.
Yeah.
Because not many of us are, I mean, like, I know many women have grown up not even having conversations around menopause. But there's also an opportunity to approach, the way we've got great perinatal interventions.
Yeah.
Great, like there's antenatal care in the country, through the community health strategy.
Yeah.
Like that, it's
There's everything
great.
around it, yeah.
However, I feel like we're missing, like we're not helping these women transition into a later stage. So there's an opportunity to look at it, a woman, and address the issue and approach it like as a woman, like a woman's life course, and not just look at these issues in isolation. And there's so many intersections, right?
Including mental health and well-being.
Oh my God!
How did you, how did you manage that? Because, like you said, your marriage was in
shambles.
shambles. Here, the doctor is giving you a diagnosis, infertility challenges. A lot is going on. You're grieving. You don't even know you're grieving. How did you get out
Yeah.
of that, or conquer that?
Again, I thank I absolutely I just I am so thankful and grateful for my gynecologist, who is also a great advisor of the Endometriosis Foundation and a collaborator. So we work together on these issues. I do not know. He was the first first gynecologist. So remember, I've seen many gynecologists, but none of them were presenting or telling me or approaching it from a multidisciplinary approach. He was always like, by the way, I am just but one of the support or manage or part of the care team. There's, there are others are that you have to partner with and collaborate with. Pain management specialist, a psychologist or psychiatrist, a social welfare person, or even a nutritionist. And to end that circle, I think is also a peer support group. But I think he kept just drumming that in, and he was like, Elsie, if there's ever anything you feel like is too challenging, please do not hesitate to bring it up. And I think because we're always socialized, like we can't question what the doctor tells you, but you must. It's your body, it's your right. So you need to ask the right question. Secondly, I think for me, he noticed, because every time we would go in, have the conversations, of course, I would share with him about how, our marriage, my marriage was struggling at the moment, at the time. And he was just like, hey, Elsie, I don't think I'm the right person to have this conversation with. Why don't I recommend that you see a psychiatrist? And that was when I was diagnosed with depression. And then got me on the medication. And then we doubled that up with talk therapy. And that really, really, really helped. It went a great deal. I mean, it helped a great deal in terms of just managing.
through that period.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think it's important to not just see that disease,
Yeah.
but like and you, I think throughout this conversation we've kept emphasizing that, to see the woman as a whole,
Correct.
not just that problem that she's presenting with, sort that
Correct.
out, and
Correct.
off she goes. In all of these experiences, and more so setting up the Endometriosis Foundation, what makes you most proud when you look back?
Oh, so many things. I presented a poster at the World Congress on endometriosis. And I was told that I was the first African patient representative that was ever presenting at that global platform. And so it was research that, again, my mom had done in school. And so we used the data to highlight the challenges, the psychological impact of the condition on women. And for me being like a dream, because I just because there was a call for proposals, I mean for abstracts, for submission of abstracts, and I was just like, okay, can I do this? My greatest ally was like, absolutely, you can.
You can.
You have the data. Let's do this. We did it overnight, like in I think it was like 4-5 hours to the deadline for submission. Oh, we crunched we crunched those numbers. We were like, we look at what we want to present, and we put it together and we present. And that for me was a very proud moment. But the fact that it was also accepted.
Yeah.
And then traveling all the way, from Kenya to Sydney is not like just here.
That's like a whole day.
Correct. And then for it to be accepted, and then to actually travel, for me to actually have the poster out there, for people to come and interact with that data, I was just like, and people now saying, oh my God, we need to, let's work together. Let's see how we can get it published in other publications so that so that people can see the impact of endometriosis beyond, the United States, beyond Europe, beyond New Zealand and Australia, beyond the countries that have really, they're really progressing and quite advanced compared to us. So that, I think, was the first one. And of course, the appointment as the co-chair of the World Endometriosis Organization. I was just like, I don't know. It's like, I still today, by the way, like, I'm about to cry. I honestly, it's been 10 years, Mercy. You know how long I have been doing this. And I'm like, finally, someone can see me and so for me, the ability to take on like mics like this and sit on platforms like this to represent the millions who are unable to speak up, for me that it's just such an honor, and I don't even take it lightly. But other things also have happened. We published a paper together in one of the journals, the journal on pelvic pain and endometriosis. I think it's called JEPP. I think what D, pelvic disorder. Listen, my brain fog is happening right now. We will find it.
We will find this.
But that was a peer review that we did with Aga Khan University Hospital. Some of the doctors were there on the approach, on the multidisciplinary approach of care in low middle income countries, and how bringing in the peer support really completes that circle.
That's so cool.
Because you can take the patient to see a doctor, but when she comes out, when she leaves with the devastating news, where do you take her? Yeah. She can come and join a peer support group.
A patient group. Yeah.
Or if you perchance discover the peer support group before you find the doctor, we can link you to the right doctors, right? Either if it's therapist, whatever, we can link you. But also, I think for me, is another thing that we have called the Endobody program, where we connect within the Telegram support group patients who are within the same geography to pair up, so that at this macro kind of like level, there is this support group, there's all these conversations happening, but because again of our interpersonal dynamics, etc., there are people who might not be able to share on that platform, but they just want to be able to sit down and have one-on-one. So are you close to me? Are you like my neighbor? Can we have coffee one day? Or can we just have a WhatsApp call or a video call? And we've done that, and we've seen friendships blossoming. People who are suicidal turning around.
That's good.
When they connect with, the gynecologist, and, for the first time they experience just that relief and normalcy.
Knowing that they're not alone.
What?
And sort of like somebody else validating what you're feeling and what you're going through.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because the only way that I can resonate with what you're going through is if I've gone through the journey.
True. The Gates Foundation announced, a 2.5 billion investment in women's health.
I saw that.
Yeah, and part of it was, like endometriosis. What are your thoughts around that?
African-led research. We need deep data on the prevalence of endometriosis. I think so. That's something that we just need to prioritize. We need to also think about how can we improve the centers for care, right? There is an opportunity to also train the frontline workers, even at the community level. Let's start with the community level. There is a lot of content, and I want to also celebrate the other, advocacy groups that are out there, because I think there are just so many more people who have come up and are still talking about it now, but we need empirical evidence. So there is an intervention, or rather was an intervention in schools, but I know that was pulled out because of the new system. But we know that the missing link is still the healthcare system. We need to talk to and educate the community health workers, integrate these reproductive health issues as part of their toolkit, so that when they go into the homes within that village setup, when they can have the conversation, in addition to like the conversation around antenatal protection against, for example, sexually transmitted diseases, whatever information that they're passing on, they could add this. So that, again, remember, the biggest challenge that we have with endometriosis is that there is the average period it takes for a woman to be diagnosed with endometriosis is 7 to 8 years. That's a long time.
That's a very long time.
That's a long time. Imagine with me, if a community health worker was able to spot these symptoms from that little girl, then that period for diagnosis would have been shorter. So it's about reducing that the margin of diagnosis. But also, we want, and there's some scientific, like, I know that there's scientific and clinical studies and all of those things, trial and trying to find, a cure, trying to find minimally invasive methods of diagnosing it, like through like a blood sample, etc. We need to invest in all of that. In
getting that.
And because I feel, again, like we said, because we know that we are not represented in the global data set, even like genetics, we know. I think there's a study right now being done just around the genomics and something around that. But I think that's a great step. But for me, when I heard about that, I was like, okay, so let's also do. I mean, let's try and see if we can get funding to do more advocacy. Let's try and see how we can, with this data now, we can go and influence policy.
Yeah.
Because without data, what are we going to tell the Minister of Health?
You
The
can.
CS for Health? What are
There'll
we
be
going
nothing. Because what do they act upon?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest one for me is just trying to, if we could do maybe the cost of illness. Like, let's just try and understand what is the burden of all these reproductive health issues on the economy. Maybe then,
People start taking it seriously.
right?
At least we know that for an average African woman like myself and yourself, we spend 25% of our lifetime
Yeah,
in poor health.
completely.
So what does that mean in productivity, economically,
Yeah.
And even to the family setup? Because when a woman is unwell, the whole family is unwell.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that, I think, for me, should be like where we think about now. In fine, you must have heard enough about endometriosis affects fertility, but let's open up the conversation and start looking at the impact on the economy, so that maybe someone is actually going to take us seriously. And yeah,
45 years of life,
Yeah.
in pain, the worst kind of pain that a woman can go through, like every other month. Of course, issues of fertility, like it's a lot. Like even when I'm just listing them, I'm just feeling like if I were the one, I would have died because I don't think I have that much courage. What keeps you hopeful and driven and keeps you and makes you keep on talking about this and still moving on and talking strong about all of these issues?
very strong. What gives thank you? Or just, I think it's, I think I operate on, like maybe delulu is what they call it. I think I've created what do you call it? Like a space, like a balloon for myself. And this is the first time I'm sharing this, so because I'm like, I feel like, how did you know to ask this question anyway? And I think I've created a world for myself where everything is perfect. So I don't focus on the things that I don't have, or the things or the opportunities that I've missed out on. I'm very motivated by my nieces, especially. My nieces. Yeah, those ones are the ones that keep me going. Because
The
endometriosis,
ones who call you auntie mom.
those are the ones who I do this for. Because there's a very high chance, if you have endometriosis, a female in your family is likely to have it, whether it's your auntie, whether it's your cousin, your sister, your mother, that is what I work towards. The other thing that gives me hope is just how fantastic Kenya is doing in terms of contributing to global research efforts. Even if data is sparse, Kenya has been celebrated for contributing. Like, I think it was in 2020, I don't remember. The first years when I started the foundation, when I was meeting like the first people who had written papers that had been published in some of these global journals. That just excites me, and it gives me hope to know that we are changing the landscape. And also just, I mean, just being on that, like, on those global platforms, when I'm invited for, scientific conferences to present my lived experience, and that being converted into data. I mean, the more I'm seeing, people like us who do the work that I do being invited into those forums, and where now lived experience is also being used as insights, that gives me hope. And I think lastly, in Congress, and I think for me, because that's like the most recent experience at Congress, I had the chance of co-leading one of the research setting priorities that was hosted by the World Endometriosis Society and the World Endometriosis Research Foundation. And the category that we were co-leading was on collaboration, patient engagement, and international, meaning, of course, the rest of the world, right? And it was, for us to be seated there, right? So there were 3 of us, and I think 2 of us were members of the World Endometriosis organizations and patient representative organization leaders. And for us to actually tell the researchers, the scientists, consider changing the language of some of the tools. Move away from using terms like low middle income countries to global majority. Make sure that it's inclusive. Have patient representation even as you're designing, from the design, not when you're ready to now roll out the study, no, or when you're starting to collect the data, no, from before. Include us. And they were like, absolutely, from now on. And I mean, like, that's part of the protocol that we're pushing for. Like, there's no research that should actually be done if it doesn't include patient representation. And that's, I think that is giving me hope. I'm like, oh, we're finally being heard.
Yeah.
We're just not going to be used to collect the data, but now people want to listen to our lived experience and use it now to churn out, like, insights and solutions. Because I don't understand, what solutions are you coming up with if I'm not
if you've not talked to me.
If you've not talked to me.
Yeah.
So that, in addition to my dear little nieces and the younger generation also that's coming after that, those are the people who keep me going. Yeah.
Thank you, Elsie. Thanks for having this discussion. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for sharing not just your story, but your vision for women's health. Your journey reminds us that women's health is not only about birth, but also about the whole cycle of a woman's life, from adolescence to menopause, from fertility to the challenges in between. And to our viewers, may this conversation inspire you to break the silence, to support the women in their journeys, and most importantly, to demand for better care for all of us. I'm Dr. Mercy Korir, and this has been Lifeline Dialogues. Until next time, keep the conversation going, keep this conversation that saves lives to stay alive. You can follow us on our social media platforms at Willow Health Media, and stay tuned for our next Lifeline Dialogues conversation. Thank you.